Hey, monkey. Oh my good lord. Oh, hey. Hey monkeys, how you doing? Damian Keyes here. We haven't done a top 10 for a while, and this one is a goodie. I want to do the top 10 things that you can do to improve your band for free straight away. And the backstory of this is I've just come back from very north, very west Wales in a place called Pwllheli. Yeah, easy for me to say, and I'm from that country. And I went to an awards ceremony. In fact, it was this award ceremony. It was the Hard Rock Hell Awards, and they were amazing. And thank you so much for having us and giving us the red carpet treatment. And it was brilliant to be there. And I met a bunch of you guys, which was really good. And lots of people came up and said hi, which just made me feel all warm and fuzzy. But the event was amazing, and there was bands playing. There was bands getting awards. And it was a really good level because it was a rock band. We're talking rock bands here, so it was very classic rock. It's a very niche genre, which we'll talk about in a minute. But the really good thing about it was it really fits. It's nowhere near the size of Donington Monsters of Rock, kind of that size of things. But when it comes to something, this is 500 people from all over that aspect of the music industry, that genre, come together and basically have a big party and celebrate, and they get a bunch of bands who are kind of up and coming and doing quite well and have big followings. And I was there, and it was an amazing thing to watch, do some social media, but I learned a lot from doing it. So I want to do a video on what I learned from that event. Number one, you have to turn up. Now I know that's really, really obvious, but hear me out on this one. This was an award ceremony for rock, and quite a specific genre in rock. And these guys do it for lots of different styles of rock: prog rock, classic rock, metal, and it will go on. There'll be these things happening all of the time. And whilst I was sat there watching bands on stage, and I was sat next to some amazing bands, I mean, there were some great people there. I was sat next to Skindred, and I was sat next to, just up the road was Michael Schenker, legend. Dean Schneider was there. There were some really awesome people and some really up and coming bands. And whilst I was sat there chatting to these awesome people and managers and live agents and everything else, all I was thinking of was a bunch of you guys that I talk to regularly that weren't there, that should have been there. So I got my phone out, I started messaging bands. Why the fuck aren't you here? This is like everyone from your part of the industry has descended on this place. Why aren't you here? And I got lots and lots of reasons, lots of excuses. I got, oh, we did it 2 years ago. I didn't know about it. It's not really for us because it's so far away, because it literally was an 8-hour drive for us there. We had a party and it was an 8-hour drive back again. All of which were not good enough excuses. You have to turn up, and if you have to pay to do it, you have to pay to do it. That's the way it works, because they've done all the hard work for you. They've got all these amazing people that could forge your career, but people that you can learn from, people that will keep you in mind from that night when something crops up. And a lot of you that should have been there weren't there. So first rule, you have to be there, you have to turn up. And if you don't know about these sorts of things, then Twitter them. Just get on Twitter and start finding out. Get on Google and start researching your genre and things like awards and events and festivals and things that you can just be a part of, that you can start networking. It's hard work and it's a lot of traveling, but I promise you, this is something that will really, really pay off. I'm gonna say to people, Number two, research the event and network from your sofa. If you can't get there because you live 3,000 miles away and you're in Los Angeles and there's an event which is right up your street but it's in North Wales, I understand you can't just fly across for the evening. So in which case, look at the world that we live in. Literally look at it, it's ridiculous. You can start to engage with people from 3,000 miles away on the event. And so what you need to do is you need to research it. You need to find out who's going. You need to start talking to people beforehand. And then on the night, you start using hashtags. You start actually finding the bands that are playing, finding the bands that are there. Start talking to them. Oh, it looks amazing. I'm gutted we can't be there because we're over in Los Angeles, but take pictures because we really want to see. And then you find out there's a certain manager or live agent or record label or something else there. And all of a sudden you hashtag them and say, oh, it looks amazing. And you send a picture of you and be like, oh, we really want to come over next year. And this is the next best thing. And I know this wasn't happening because I was the only social media person there. I'm 100% sure. I was the only one thinking of this from a social media angle and from an up and coming band's point of view. So I was on social media all night watching, and I was thinking, why can I not find bands tagging themselves into this event, finding people and talking to them. I just couldn't find that at all. And I was checking a lot of the bands who were there and they weren't really doing much social media and it was driving me fucking insane. So you can do this from afar. You don't need to be there, but it's work and it's finding this stuff out and it's research and it's engaging from afar. Come on guys, network. Number 3, work the event. And by that, I mean you work the event and the event doesn't work for you. The fact that they've invited you down and you're at an event or an award ceremony is fantastic, but that doesn't mean you can just sit at your table, get pissed and fuck off home. Because if you're gonna do that and waste the opportunity, then you're a fucking idiot. But you wouldn't believe how many people do that. Oh, well, they've invited me down and so I must be awesome. And so I'm gonna go show my face and everyone can see how awesome I am and then leave. You fucked up. You wouldn't believe how much time, effort, money, and most importantly, stress that comes from a lot of people to get a lot of great people into that event. So maximize it, use that opportunity. Number 4, if you look like you're supposed to be talked to, you will get talked to. If you look important, if you look like you've made the effort and you fit into that crowd, I mean really fit into that crowd, people will take notice of you and it's easier to actually strike up a conversation. If you turn up in a jeans and a t-shirt and you don't look like you fit in, you don't look like you've made the effort, then you'll just fade into the background. And this is that noise thing that we talk about quite a lot. People always bang on about the noise. And I just think, well, actually do something worth talking about first and then bang on about the noise. And it's the same thing with how you turn up and how you dress. And you know, whether it's you turn up looking like the darkness and you wear one-piece lycra suits, or you just have crazy tattoos or whatever it is, but if you look like, on an event like that, if you look like you're supposed to be talked to, when you walk up to talk to someone, people will go, oh, he looks important, he looks like he should be here, then people will want to talk to you. If you look like you're just a student that's just stepped in from the street, then you look like a punter and people will go, oh, he's just a punter. And people are fickle like that. So do yourself a favor and actually make an effort. And if it's a rock and roll thing, look fucking rock and roll. And if it's like a hip hop thing, then look hip hop. But make the effort to do social media. And let me tell you something, that's my phone, it's my mum. Number 5, think of this as £1,000 worth of social media. Now, I'm starting to do a lot more social media. In fact, I'm seeing the value of social media in the corporate world a lot more. And let me tell you something, because I can tell you I've done a lot of research on this and I'm working with companies and I'm working with people on their social media and I'm seeing how much money it's worth and how much money companies are paying for it. Of a lot of money. It's ridiculous money. And the reason is because corporate companies don't have the creativity a lot of the time. They don't have the resources at the time, so they'd rather bring in a specialist agency to do their social media rather than just bring one person and do it themselves. Now you guys are creatives. There's no fucking excuse for you not to do it. And so let me tell you, one event like that, if you brought in a social media company from the record label and just said, oh, do social media around the band and that event, you're looking at least £1,000 for that one event for them to do it, because they're going to bring in, videos and photographers and all that kind of stuff that you can do on your fucking phone. So what I'm telling you is, when you're at an event like that, you fucking squeeze the lemon like you've never squeezed it before. When it comes to pictures, you document the fucking shit out of it. When it comes to videos, you video the fucking shit out of it. You make this on every single platform you've got. You make this enough content to last you for a month. Because you can do interviews with other bands, you can do great pictures, you can do videos. This is creativity, and you guys are creative, so there's no excuses, and you've got everything in your pocket. And if there's 3, 4, or 5 of you in a band, there's no excuses. You should be documenting the entire night. And if you realize that in order to bring someone else in, that would cost at least £1,000 worth of social media, you probably would do it more. So from here on in, when you go to an event and you go and do something like this, you need to think of how much value that you're getting for free. It's like being given £1,000. Fucking do that. Number 6, so I saw a bunch of bands and they played live, and there were some really wicked bands, and it's a great stage, there's 500 people, but there's still things that are driving me up the fucking wall. Number 1, who are you? And this doesn't just go for on stage, but this is a big part of it. This comes to just in the event, the whole thing. Who are you? When you stand on stage, I've been to so many gigs, I still cannot believe that the front man for a band will get past the first song, go, how are you doing? And then they'll go into the second song and the third song and the fourth song. Literally, I'm sat there going, who is this? These guys are good. Who's this? Who's this? I'm asking people, who's this? They're going, I don't know. And I'm looking there, who's this band? I don't know. And I'm like, fucking tell me, Jesus Christ. Like, you're on stage, you've got a microphone that's going to echo around the whole place to 500 people. Why would you not get that in 5 times if you're playing for 20 minutes? We are blah. That's the message that you're trying to get. Who are you? That message has got to come across. So then I start asking people, after about 3 or 4 people, I'm not asking anyone else, I give up. I wanted to tweet the band, I wanted to talk to the band, I wanted to follow the band. They lost me. They literally lost me. So out of the 4 bands that played, I knew one of them because he said they said they introduced them and I was paying attention. I don't think they actually introduced themselves either, but either way, I got one of the bands. The other 3, I got one from asking about 5 people. The other 2 I just gave up on. I don't even, to this hour, like 24 hours later, I still don't know what the band was called. How fucking ridiculous is that? So frontmen, or if your frontman's not doing it, and I was the guitarist or the bass player, I'd walk up to the microphone and I would literally do it for him, because I hate it when people start talking and don't introduce yourself. You have a duty to get every single person in that room to know exactly who you are. And if you're not on the stage and you're in a band and you're watching, every time you walk up to someone and you say, hey, how you doing? At that point you say, for me personally, hey, how you doing? My name's Damian Keyes. I have a channel which helps musicians. Simple as that. That's the way I would introduce myself. Hi, how you doing? I'm Damian Keyes. I have a channel, YouTube, Facebook. I help musicians. Can we have a chat? Because I'm introducing myself and telling them what it is that I do. And if you're a band, you do exactly the same thing. Number 7, mic technique, singers. This drives me up the fucking wall, and I go and see, I could see 10 bands in a week. The amount of times that I can't hear the vocals is unreal. I know there's other things around it. I know there's arrangement. I know there's guitar frequencies. But when you're dealing with an event like this, they've got sound men there. They've got decent sound men there. But it's up to you to actually do the job to help them, okay? So here's a few no-nos that I see a lot. What the fuck is this? This is not going to help. You are literally covering the microphone. I see that all the time. The other thing I see is this. I'm like, you are singing into a quarter of the microphone. That is not going to work. Or this. This is not going to work. So you need to learn microphone technique. And as for this, it's not fucking X Factor. Don't do that. Don't ever do that. Don't ever do that again. It's a disgraceful thing. I hate it. When it comes to singing, you've got like some kind of SM58, you get it in your grill, and you literally sing through the microphone. You sing this. And the reason why you do that is because you have a duty of care to me, because I'm watching, and the most important thing is the vocals. And if I can't hear you properly, or it's muffled and it's your fault and you're not giving the sound man every opportunity, then you are messing shit up. But this is not something that I've seen once or twice. This is something I see all of the time. Bad mic technique. And I can see sound men being like, I can't push it anymore, I'm gonna get more feedback. Singers that do this, and I'm just like, well, it's still an acoustic instrument. If you go on the microphone and you talk quietly, or if you go, that will make a big difference, not just to the level, but to the frequencies. It will bring, when you give it more welly, you'll get more mid frequencies. Same thing with a guitar or a bass. The harder you strike the instrument, the more it pushes out those mid frequencies, and those are the bits that are going to cut through. Because when it gets to the bass frequencies, you're just going to be swamped in a bunch of distortion and bass. So you need the mid frequencies to get in there to cut straight through everything. I know that's a bit technical, but so mic technique, please. Honestly, if you're a guitarist, a bass player, drummer, and you're seeing your singer acting all cool and going, just say to him, I know it looks cool and everything. However, the audience won't hear us, and so the band will sound shit, and therefore we have to not do that, please. So if you do this, don't ever do that. Just get on the mic, sing, and hold it like a microphone. Tip 8, lighting, or more importantly, spotlights. Now this was something I was chatting with Bruce on the way back. Back in the day, there was a lot more budgets, and bands, especially events like that, would have spotlights, and it makes such a huge difference to the look of the event. So what happens nowadays is lights tend to come from behind and light you up. So you're standing at the front, and a lot of the time you stand right at the front of the stage. If you think about it, a lot of the time the lights are way at the back, either on a T-bar or on some kind of trellis. And so what you do as a singer, the first thing you do is walk straight to the front of the stage. You get as far forward as you can, and you're moving around. And a lot of the time you're just not lit up very well. And so even when it gets a bit darker, then the singer gets darker, can't see half the bands. Here's an idea, and I say this is about, you can do stuff for free, so this might take a bit of creativity, but one thing I would do if I was in a band was, I would find a way of getting a spotlight, because back in the day that used to be a thing, and it used to make a massive difference to the energy and the vibe of the show. I would actually go and make a spotlight. It might cost me 20 quid, 30 quid, but I would go and make a spotlight. And then when it comes to operating it, I figure a way of doing it. I haven't got all the details, but I would go and talk to either a support band or a super fan or a girlfriend or just a mate. And I'd say, like, I know you're coming down to the gig. Can you just work the spot? Because as a singer, when you've got a spotlight on you and you're moving around, when the lights go down and it's just the vocalist with a spot, it makes such a huge difference. So it's lighting from the front. Now, if you're a band, you just turn up, you play and you fuck off again. That doesn't give you an excuse to say, well, it's the venue's job. Yes, maybe it is the venue's job, but if they're not gonna do it, you have to take responsibility. Same thing with everything in life. So it's something to think about, but I don't see enough really great lighting, and I think bands could take more responsibility. And that spotlight thing, if I was gonna do any one thing to make the show better from a lighting point of view, that's what I would do. I'd get a spotlight from the front, or especially if I could get it up high somehow and actually have a spotlight down, and it would just absolutely take the show from an 80 to 100%. Number 9, enjoy the event, but at the same point, work hard. Now, you don't want to be one of those dickheads that turns up that's just constantly networking and you're just like, look, I'm just here, I'm having fun, I want to meet people, I want to have a chat, but I don't want your business card thrust in my face every 5 minutes and you're just walking around going, business card, that's bullshit. We don't want that. But at the same point, we don't want to be one of those guys who just sits at the table, gets fucked off your face, does something really weird and creepy, and then fucks off again. Just a happy medium. You're there, enjoy the event and work at the same time. And that's what you talk about. When you go and network with people and talk to them, you just say, are you having a great time? This is so good. I'm really enjoying myself. Are you having fun? What do you do? Oh, that's really amazing. Oh, this is what we do. And it's a really informal, fun place to chat and meet people. You wouldn't believe how good that can be for you and for your career and for your band. But don't be one of the creepy people that's just stalking you, wandering around doing business cards. Just go and have a chat and find, if you can do research, that's even better. Do you know what? You know, this happens every so often. I don't have a big channel, but every so often someone taps me on the shoulder and goes, I watch your videos. You wouldn't believe how good that makes me feel. And instantly, just from when one of you says, I watch your videos, or I follow you on, subscribe to you on YouTube, the first thing I think, for some strange reason, is, I want to help you. And straight away, I'm like, what can I do? How can I help you? What can we do? Hit me up, talk to me, let's make something happen together. Because I value anyone that follows me. So when someone comes up and starts a conversation and says that, straight away, I'm like, what can I do? What can I do to help? What do you need me to do? Straight away. And that's what these events are for. A bit of research goes a long way, but more importantly, don't be creepy as fuck when you talk to people. Just chat and be yourself and be normal. You wouldn't believe how much of a difference that'll make. And number 10, value the event. There are a lot of people at these events making them happen who are stressed. So anything that you can do to help is massively appreciated, even if it doesn't feel like it on the day. When you're saying things like, what can I do to help? Or is there anything I can do? Or you're just taking responsibility for certain things. There are people behind the scenes that are literally losing years of their life. They're just tearing their hair out going, this is so fucking stressful. They're trying to get you over there, and obviously people are getting drunk and you're trying to herd people and get them on stage, and the amp's gone down and the lighting rig's blown up and something's happened and health and safety and blah, 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 blah. So when you're at an event like this, when you say to someone, what can I do? What can I do to help? And even if they say nothing, at least they're going to be thinking, you, if I need anything, you are the person I want to talk to. And it makes such a difference, because these events are stressful. And I think if whenever I go and do a talk, whenever I do a keynote speech, or whenever I go and do an event somewhere, the first thing I always say to them is there anything else I can do? Do you want me, if you need me to talk for longer, I can talk for longer. If something goes wrong and you need me to talk for longer, I can do longer. If you need me to talk shorter, I can do that. I'm not precious about anything. If your projector screen goes down, don't worry, I can handle it. I'm just trying to make them feel like, oh good, that is something that is completely sorted, I don't have to worry about. And if I get a problem, that's the person I'm going to go to. Because then what happens is the next year they just come to that piece of paper, they go, right, let's start organizing next year's event. Who's the first person that's going to go on that event list? Me. And that's where you need to be. So what can you do to actually value the event? And also things like saying thank you. When you can actually find event managers or people who have put on events and say to them, this is brilliant. Thank you so much for doing this, because it really makes a difference. It goes in, it sinks in, and it makes you just go, oh, thank God, someone appreciates what I'm doing. Because let's face it, we're always getting shit from somewhere. So when someone appreciates you, it's massive. So look after the event and look after the people at the event, and they will long-term look after you. So that's what I learned from Hard Rock Hell, and it was amazing. I was like, I wish I could go to all of them, and they're all over the country and I can't, but I wish I could go to all of them. The people who organised it were amazing. I thought the event was just something like I've never been to before, and the community spirit was fantastic. I just wished I could have taken so many more of you with me, but there's a vlog going live, possibly before or after this one, but it'll be on my YouTube. I'd love it if you subscribe. I'd love it if you like this video. I'd love it if you just talk to me, because I'm fucking lonely. But otherwise, take this shit in, write all this stuff down and do it. I promise you, I've been doing this for a long time. I promise you, if you do these things, they will make a massive difference to your band and to your career. Have a great day. I'll see you guys tomorrow.